Hello and welcome to the Talk Villa podcast. I'm your host Sumit Paul, and it was honours even at the City Ground on Sunday as Aston Villa were held to a 1-1 draw by Nottingham Forest. An own goal from Murillo put us ahead in the first half, but it was Neco Williams who found an equaliser for the hosts to earn a share of the spoils. Villa were wasteful in this one as we had chances to get back ahead and secure all 3 points in the second half, but ultimately we didn't take them and we're left to rue what is a missed opportunity in my opinion. More on that shortly, but as with every game, I'll be discussing my 5 key talking points as we have a deeper dive into our draw with Forest. But first, let's have a listen to the boss, Unai Emery, and his thoughts on the game as he spoke to Villa TV.
We are playing for the excellence. We were excellence in December. We were 2-3 points behind Arsenal and behind Manchester City. And how we were 1 month ago was not excellence like in December, but we were very good. And how we are now is the same in our objective. Europa League quarter final and Premier League top five positions. Of course, today in the match is something similar. We played a very good match, but the next step forward is to play excellence to win. We tried it. I am so happy how we were keeping a strong game plan and the players, they were following it. The starting 11 players, the players in the back, how they were being impacted after subs. Some players, really fantastic. And we try to win, we play to win, we compete to win. We, through our game plan, we planned. And we have got a very good match, very good point. But still being, for me, next step forward to achieve is the excellence. And winning 3 points like the matches playing today, or the next matches try to keep being, of course, contender to be in the top 5 with the day 32 we played today. And next match Sunday, Sunderland is the next challenge in Premier League. And of course, Europa League is something we must feel comfortable, happy, proud of everything we are doing. And Villa Park on Thursday, I want, like today, the supporters came here to be with us. I don't know how much, but I think they were 2,000, 3,000 or 4,000, like in Bologna, they were following us there to 2,500 supporters. So it's fantastic. Why? Because we can feel them here with us, and we can feel as well confidence and motivated and excited, trying to enjoy the momentum.
That was Unai Emery speaking to Villa TV after our 1-1 draw with Nottingham Forest. So on to my 5 key talking points then, and let's start with Emi Martinez's injury troubles popping up once again and deserved praise for his replacement, Neco Bizot. Now for the 3rd time this season, Martinez pulled out due to suffering an issue in the warm-up, and he had to be replaced at half-time away at Crystal Palace earlier in the campaign too, if you remember. So for me, surely that has to raise question marks now over his reliability, because that must be such a disruptive and potentially damaging situation for Emery and the team as a whole to make such a pivotal change just before the game gets underway. Not only for Emery, for his week of preparation, for getting things ready for the game, but for the back line to then have to adjust to Bizot being between the posts. I can only imagine that must be quite tricky and a really difficult situation to manage. But credit to Neco Bizot though, he once again stepped up and delivered when he was needed, and he deserved and received plenty of praise from Emery after the game. But time will tell what impact Martinez's injury issues will have moving forward. Emery did confirm after the game that it was a calf problem, which is, I believe, the same issue that caused problems for Martinez earlier in the season as well. Emery added that Neco Bizot is a fantastic goalkeeper, he has experience and he is intelligent, and when he was asked whether or not we can still rely on Martinez, Emery added, "My only focus is about trying to have a good response to what was the late change." So time will only tell whether or not Martinez's injury troubles continue, but from a reliability standpoint and having that sort of security and familiarity between the post and in the back line, the injury issues as he gets older are concerning, and we'll see if Villa address that in the summer or not. On to the second point, and that is Victor Lindelof continuing to prove to be an excellent signing. Now, it was quite strange in this one to see Ezri Konsa on the bench. He's such a fixture of the Villa 11. It's very rare that you don't see him starting. I believe they said the last Premier League game that he missed was obviously the second one of the season. It's when he was serving a suspension after being sent off against Newcastle. But again, Lindelof came into the team and impressed. He produced another solid defensive display to help limit Forest's threat up front and also in central areas where they attacked. He looked confident stepping up the pitch with the ball at his feet as well. He was composed, he was calm, and he was accurate with most of his passing. And so he continues to prove to be a really savvy pickup last summer. With Villa pushing on in the final stages of this season, as we try to achieve our goals across both the Premier League and the Europa League, there is a sense that Emery will have to continue to rotate and keep everyone fresh, and importantly try and stay clear of injuries across the squad. So hopefully we'll see more of Lindelof showcasing his importance as part of this squad in the coming weeks. On to the third point, and that is Morgan Rogers' difficult week continued. Now, if you read or listened to my midweek newsletter or podcast, I raised concern over Morgan Rogers in terms of the signs in his performance against Bologna were kind of reminiscent for me of his early season struggles for form. I think he deserves credit, absolutely, for forcing the own goal. It was his cross that forced Murillo into that mistake, and then he also hit the crossbar shortly after as well, as he did threaten. But ultimately, for me, that was about as good as it got for him in this game. Now, it's understandable for me when he surrenders possession trying to play a killer pass through to Ollie Watkins, or if he's driving into the box trying to create something and he's ultimately undone by a top tackle. But the problem for me is the regularity with which he gives the ball away really cheaply, and I find that really frustrating. As I've said before, and as he's said in the past, his role in the team is to score goals and create them. And what comes with that is an added responsibility to try and make things happen, stay on the ball, and try and unlock defences. And so I understand there's an element that he is going to give up possession at times, and not everything is going to come off for him. But it's when he gives the ball away cheaply is the problem, and that's happening far too often for me. So whether it's fatigue or an injury, because he was seen wearing some sort of supportive type of brace for his shoulder after the game, whether it's a loss of confidence or some of all of the above, we need to find a way to help him get back to his best form again. Emery insisted in his post-match press conference that Rodgers hasn't been distracted by speculation over his future, because there was talk during the week linking him with a move away from the club this summer. Emery insists that's not a problem, and he went on to actually praise him and his performance. That's to be expected, as he's going to back his players publicly, but he must sense also that his star man is currently struggling again, and hopefully it doesn't drag on and be a problem from now until the end of the season. The fourth point is a more positive one, and that is John McGinn with a captain's display. Now, along with Lindelof, I thought John McGinn stood out with his positive performance, which in turn reiterated both his importance and his influence in this team. So whether it was his ability to hold the ball up, link things together and help us create those threatening situations and openings, combined with his tireless defensive efforts, you're getting both Yuri Tielemans and our skipper back for this run-in, and I think that's made such a massive difference for us. Now, there was one red mark against his performance in that I didn't think he got to Neco Williams and closed him down quickly enough for the goal. But that aside, I think McGinn continues to show how important he is for us. Emery spoke after the game how we're starting to now find our structure, style and confidence again, with our results starting to improve as a knock-on effect. And I think a major part of that has been McGinn's return to the starting lineup. He's solidified things down that right side. He's given us balance. And as I say, not only the tireless defensive work, but he's added sort of an attacking element and an aspect to our play. And that's made a big difference for us. So hats off to McGinn as well as Lindelof. I thought those two were really good in this game. The fifth and final point is that a wasteful Villa rue missed chances. Now, as I've hinted through this podcast already, one of the more disappointing aspects of Sunday's draw with Forest was our lack of clinical edge in front of goal. Now, fortunately, we have stretched our lead over sixth place Chelsea to 7 points after they were defeated by Manchester City. So that gap has stretched, and we're in a good place in general in terms of 6 games to go and everything's in our court. But it could have been a lot better this weekend. I thought, like I say, Morgan Rogers and Ollie Watkins both missing big chances to put us in a more commanding position, both in the game and in the table. I think particularly at this stage of the year, with what's at stake and how important every moment and every game is, we have to be clinical at both ends of the pitch where it counts most. And I thought we did our job really well at the back for the most part. So that was a box ticked, but unfortunately it wasn't matched up top given the chances we had and didn't take. We've undoubtedly improved our performance levels. I think in the last few games, either side of the international break, I have seen an improvement personally. But that's one area that we have to become absolutely ruthless between now and the end of the campaign, because if you're not at it, you're not putting these chances away in big games, whether that's down the final stretch in the race for top 5 position, or for the Europa League if we get through to the semi-finals and subsequently the final. You cannot be missing these chances in big games. They have to be finding the back of the net, and hopefully we can manage to do that moving forward. So what were your talking points from our draw with Forest? Let me know your thoughts. If you're listening on YouTube, please leave your comments below. For those listening to the pod via Apple Podcasts, Spotify or other means, you can head over to talkvilla.substack.com and get involved in the conversation over there. So that's a wrap on this episode of the Talk Villa podcast. I want to say a big thank you as always for taking the time to have a listen. Please do subscribe to the pod or channel depending on where you're listening. That's either on Apple Podcasts, Spotify or YouTube. Please also give the episode a like and leave a positive review if you've enjoyed what you've listened to. Sign up to the Talk Villa Plus newsletter on Substack for ad-free Villa news, opinions and analysis, all of which is directly delivered to you. And there is also an option of a paid subscription for bonus content. All the details will be in the description of this podcast, but for more, please go to talkvilla.substack.com and subscribe. So as I say, it's a decent point on the road against a side battling relegation, so on paper you kind of have to be pleased with the outcome, but in the context of the game, I feel very much so that it was a missed opportunity as we had to be more clinical, and if we had been, we would have secured all 3 points. Still, it's a 7-point lead over 6th place Chelsea, as we've said, which is a major boost at this stage of the season, and it's on to the Europa League again in midweek as we hopefully can finish the job off against Bologna and advance to the semi-finals. I'll be back next weekend now to discuss my thoughts on that game, as well as our clash against Sunderland on Sunday. But until then, up the Villa.